imagine one fine night, a missionary knocks on your door, and he has a Jewish Bible with him, and he tries to show you how, according to this passage or another passage in the Jewish Bible, you should commit your heart in devotion and in worship and in loyalty to Jesus of Nazareth. Before we get into a debate with the missionary over the given passage, over the specific passage that he quoted, we will realize that the missionary has wrenched the Bible, the Jewish scriptures, out of its spiritual context. The missionary would have you believe that the Jewish scriptures was presented to the Jewish people and exists in a spiritual vacuum. All of spirituality is supposed to come out of Scripture. All of spirituality, according to the Christian, is built on the word of Scripture. But that is not so. If you read the Scriptures itself, you will realize that God sealed a covenant with the Jewish people before he gave them the first book of Scripture. The Jewish people were completely committed to God and to God's plan for mankind before they got the first book of Scripture. Scripture was not given to the Jewish people in a spiritual vacuum. Not only in the first generation was it not given to the people in a spiritual vacuum, the people's hearts were fully committed, and they stood in a deep and eternal spiritual relationship with the Creator of heaven and earth. But every subsequent generation, every generation in the future, every new generation of Jews is born into the Jewish people. They're circumcised on the 8th day. It's a little bit before most people know how to read. They learn about Sabbath. They learn about the observance of Sabbath in their houses, together with their parents. This is, again, before they learn how to read. And these are the covenantal signs that God designed and God designated, as it's stated in Scripture, to teach every generation of the Jewish people where we stand in our covenant with God, where our hearts belong, and where our devotion ought to be directed to. So in other words, the Scriptures don't stand in a spiritual vacuum. The Scriptures are given to the Jewish people in the context of a deep and abiding spiritual relationship that stands between the eternal community, the intergenerational community of Jews, and the Creator of heaven and earth. It's only in that context that we have the Scripture. The missionary usage of the Scripture can be compared to the following. Look, what is the missionary what is he trying to accomplish? Why did he knock on your door? What did he want to walk away with? What was he trying, and forgive me for using this word, what was he trying to sell you? He was trying to get you to give your heart in devotion to a person that lived 2,000 years ago. Forget about the theological theories that surround this person, but that's what he wants you to do. And he's going to use the Jewish scriptures to justify his argument, to justify that devotion that he's advocating. That would be compared to someone taking a marriage contract. In our tradition, we have a ketuvah, a marriage contract that the two parties sign, and that represents the commitment of the husband towards the wife and the wife towards the husband, and trying to point to a quirk in the text to legalize or to permit an act of adultery. Is there anything more absurd than that? And that is exactly what the missionary is doing with the Jewish scriptures. Our hearts are completely committed to the God of Israel, to the Creator of heaven and earth, and it's compared by the prophets themselves to a marriage. Devotion of our heart to be given to anyone else would be spiritual adultery. You can't use the marriage contract to justify spiritual adultery.